Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we'll be diving into the case of Kevin Ellis, focusing on the forensic toxicology evidence and the blood analysis that played a critical role in the investigation. We'll explore how investigators documented and tested the scene, and what the results revealed about substance use and its implications. Let's get into the details.
We'll understand that if we have to listen to the recording at a later date, because it's in the audio recording, we won't understand perhaps the nonverbal okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Pablo.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Wright, could you tell us your first and last name and spell them?
My name is Janelle Wright. My last name is spelled W-R-I-G-H-T.
Thank you. What is your occupation?
I am a forensic toxicologist with the Utah State Forensic Toxicology Laboratory.
How long have you worked there?
I've worked there a little over 6 years.
What does a forensic toxicologist do day to day?
So we test biological samples for alcohol, prescription medications, and drugs of abuse in conjunction with the law enforcement agencies of the state of Utah and with the medical examiner's office.
What degrees do you have?
I have a Bachelor's of Science in Forensic Science. Pardon me, I misspoke. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry with an emphasis in Forensic Science and a Master's of Science in Forensic Science.
And do you have to go through any training process to do your job or to get your job?
Yes, so the laboratory itself has its own training protocol for every analysis that we perform. And I've also completed continuing education opportunities through the Society of Forensic Toxicology.
And also, with that, do you have to pass any sort of competency tests or proficiency exams to ensure that you're doing the job correctly?
Yes, so for every test that we perform, we have to go through a specific training protocol within the lab. So we watch a trained scientist perform the test. We then perform a blind test, so they give us an unknown sample and we have to generate accurate, reproducible results. We also have literature that is assigned to us that is related to that topic, and we have to take a written exam demonstrating knowledge.
And when you say for every test that you perform, does that mean for every type of substance you're testing for, or does that mean like for blood versus urine versus something else?
Pardon me. The way our testing works is they're broken down into various drug classes. So for this specific test, I had to do all of the training for our stimulant drugs. We have different tests for alcohol, benzodiazepines, opiates, and then all of our screening versus confirmation testing.
And is the lab accredited?
Yes, it is.
Janelle Wright, a forensic toxicologist with the Utah State Forensic Toxicology Laboratory, has over 6 years of experience testing biological samples for alcohol, prescription medications, and drugs of abuse. She holds a bachelor's in chemistry with an emphasis in forensic science and a master's in forensic science. Her work requires extensive training for each drug class, including observation, blind tests, exams, and both screening and confirmation procedures, all within an accredited lab. How do you think this rigorous training and accreditation affect the reliability of forensic evidence in criminal cases?
Yes.
And what does accreditation mean?
Accreditation means that we are operating on the national standard for forensic toxicology laboratories.
Okay. You alluded to it, but did the lab receive a blood sample to test in this case?
Yes, they did.
What is the process when the lab receives a blood sample for testing?
So we receive a sample either through the mail or from a representative of the agency. When we receive the samples, we're checking both the container that it came in as well as the tubes with the sample themselves. We're looking for information from the law enforcement agency, like the name of the person who the sample is from, the law enforcement agency's case number. We're also looking at the evidence seals to make sure that nothing has been broken or tampered with. and we're checking the sample containers themselves to make sure that they are intact. Nothing is leaking, nothing is cracked.
And to the best of your knowledge, was that process followed on the sample received for testing?
Yes, it was.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what's been labeled State's Exhibit 109. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 109?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It is a copy of the laboratory's final toxicology report.
Specifically for this case?
Yes.
Is it an accurate copy of the report?
Yes, it is.
Okay. How do you know that this report relates to this case?
I can see the subject's name under the subject information box as well as our laboratory case information.
Okay, and who was the subject for which you tested a blood sample?
Kevin Ellis.
Okay. And specifically, was Mr. Ellis's blood sample analyzed for the presence of controlled substances?
Yes, it was.
Briefly describe that process of how it was tested for a controlled substance.
So every sample that we receive goes through our screening process. So this is kind of a preliminary test where we're looking for alcohol, drugs of abuse, as well as prescription drugs. Based on any positive result we will get from the screen, we will then move on to further confirmation testing. The confirmation testing is a little more rigorous and a little more specific for each individual drug.
And so it's basically a two-step process, a screening and then a confirmation.
Yes.
Okay. And throughout the screening and confirmation testing, is there any sort of quality control or anything to prevent contamination or errors in the process?
Yes, so both with our screening and our confirmation testing, we run a series of quality controls. Specifically for the test related to this, our screening test works on a bit of a color change. So in addition to the sample itself, we have a known negative control as well as a couple of positive controls that have to operate as expected for us to be able to say that the test worked appropriately. For our confirmation, we have both those negative and positive quality controls as well as a complete calibration curve. The calibration curve is what allows us to calculate the amounts of drug present.
And this process you described, the screening, the confirmation, including the controls, was that followed on the blood sample in this case?
Yes, it was.
Accreditation means the lab meets national forensic standards. Kevin Ellis's blood sample was carefully checked for tampering and tested through a two-step process. Initial screening for drugs and alcohol, then confirmation testing for any positives, all with strict quality controls. These procedures were properly followed for his sample. How crucial do you think such strict testing is for ensuring reliable forensic evidence?
And when you tested Mr. Ellis's blood, you don't test for one substance only. You do kind of a range of tests.
Yes.
Okay. What was the result of the analysis on Mr. Ellis's blood?
The result of the analysis was that benzoylecgonine was positive for 272 nanograms per milliliter.
Okay. And the chemical you described, that was benzoylecgonine? Mm-hmm. Is there an easier name we can call that?
Yes, we refer to it as BE.
Okay. So it was positive for BE.
Yes.
And we already established that you test for a range. Was it positive or negative on the other substances?
It was negative for all of the other substances we tested it for.
And that would be things like methamphetamine, alcohol, and so on?
Correct.
And that was all negative?
Yes.
Okay, so the BE, that was positive at 272 nanograms. What is BE?
BE is the primary metabolite of cocaine.
What does metabolite mean?
So metabolite is the result of what the body does to the drug itself. So whenever cocaine is ingested into the body, your body goes through a process of converting it so that it can be removed from the body. And that is that metabolizing process. So.
Okay. And the fact that there was BE in the system shows that a person consumed cocaine.
Yes.
But can this test show when a person consumed cocaine?
No, it does not.
Okay. How long can the metabolite remain in the system after use?
So cocaine has a half-life of about 1 hour. and the BE has a half-life of about 6 hours. So you would expect to have seen use probably within the last day or so.
And when you say day or so, that's day from the time of the test, whenever that blood sample was taken.
From when the blood sample was taken, correct.
Okay. And to clarify something here, BE, does that have a pharmacological effect?
It does not. It is inactive.
And just to make sure we're all clear, what does pharmacological effect mean?
So pharmacological effects are the effects that the drug has on the person.
So the BE itself does not have an effect on the person. It's the byproduct.
Correct.
At this point, Your Honor, the state moves to admit Exhibit 109.
Any objection?
No objection.
So admitted, thank you.
Thank you both. So we established BE as the byproduct that occurs in the body when cocaine is consumed. Does your education and training background give you an understanding of the effect that cocaine has on a body?
Yes, it does.
What is cocaine?
So cocaine is a central nervous system stimulant drug. It can be taken as prescribed, but it is typically taken illicitly.
Okay. And when you say that you can describe the effect cocaine has on a person, to clarify, you mean in general. You can't say what effect it may have had on Mr. Ellis.
Correct.
Can you tell us the general effect cocaine has on a person?
So cocaine, when it is first taken, what you would expect to see is a euphoria, a motor restlessness, so you'll see a certain degree of fidgeting. As the cocaine works its way through the body, is metabolized and starts to leave the system, you'll see effects that are more similar to a CNS depressant. So you'll see an agitation and a nervousness.
One moment, please. No further questions, thank you.
Cross.
Thank you.
Kevin Ellis's blood tested positive for benzoylecgonine B, a metabolite of cocaine, at 272 nanograms per milliliter, while all other substances were negative. B shows recent cocaine use but has no effect itself. Cocaine is a stimulant that initially causes euphoria and restlessness, then depressant-like effects as it metabolizes.
Mine is right. A few questions on, obviously on the same subject. You tested Kevin Ellis's blood, and that blood was taken by the police, right?
That is my
You know,
understanding.
It has evidence that cocaine was ingested.
Correct.
That evidence is 272 nanograms, even 5 times more than your reporting limit, right?
Correct.
It's cocaine was in his system, as you said recently, or used by him. This is evidence that cocaine was used by him, as you put, recent use, right?
Correct.
Cocaine is a stimulant, right?
Yes.
Cocaine, and now you've described some of it, and it's hard to imagine that most people in society don't have an idea what cocaine does, but thank you for the general description. Is among the things it can cause is motor recklessness, right?
Yes.
And you meant motor responses, right?
That is part of it, yes.
Motor meaning behavior and activity and jittery actions that are reckless. That's what you
Yes.
meant by motor reckless. That doesn't have to do with a car
Correct,
or a
yes.
motor. This is the motor skill functions of a person. A person gets agitated, jittery, and they're reckless with their movements. Is that fair to say?
Yes, their movements are uncontrolled.
Thank you.
Redirect. One moment.
That's fine. Maybe just one. You previously testified that the half-life in the body of cocaine is about an hour and of the BE's 6 hours. You've also testified that CNS depressant like cocaine has an initial stimulating effect that you described, and then what might be called a crash, or as it clears, it may have a depressing effect.
So cocaine is a CNS stimulant that during that crash will have depressant-like effects.
Thank you for clarifying. Can you tell during that time the cocaine is processing how quickly for a given individual it goes from the first to the end?
We cannot. That will change on each individual based on tolerance. So their familiarity with independent substance will change how their body reacts to it, the rate at which it reacts.
And so I guess the point I'm driving home is the rate of reaction could be very quick in one person and very slow in another person, depending, like you said, on habitual use and other factors.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Redirect.
Kevin Ellis's blood, collected by police, showed cocaine use at 272 nanograms per milliliter, well above the reporting limit, indicating recent ingestion. Cocaine is a central nervous system stimulant that can cause agitation, jittery movements, and reckless motor behavior. Its effects vary by individual, with initial stimulation followed by depressant-like, crash effects as the drug metabolizes. The rate of reaction depends on a person's tolerance and habitual use. As the investigation continues, questions remain about how these findings may impact the larger case. What other evidence might come to light, and how will it influence the outcome? Stay tuned as this story unfolds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.